Here we are, Season 5, Edition 2, with Eyes and Teeth. Soon I'll be talking to Mr. Paul Eastwood, but I've just been reminiscing about this homeschooling. Even though the kids have gone back to school this morning, little Larissa woke me up at 7 o'clock to play with her Barbies. Daddy, come and play with my Barbies. So I got to get up and then play with the Barbies. I just line them all up. And she says, why are you lining them all up, Daddy? I says, because I like a barbecue. And she doesn't laugh when I do that joke. And I've done it more than once. We sat there playing, and I was just thinking, this is so embarrassing, me playing with dolls, you know. Those of you that don't know, I'm a ventriloquist, and that's why that gag is relevant. Yesterday, the children went back to school, which was bittersweet, really. Hard, being home for basically a year. Homeschooling was very hard, but the hardest thing, really, was walking them into school yesterday. Me and Nina walking both the girls, but they were happy. So we opened a bottle of champagne. We didn't. We come back, we had a coffee, and we got on with our work, got on with our day. We could start working again. Paperwork, receipts, all that sort of palaver. It did get frustrating at times, you know. Can I have a biscuit? Can I have 2 biscuits? Can I watch Netflix? Can I watch Prime? Can I put YouTube on? Can you get me a drink? Can you get some toilet paper? We run out of toilet paper. Can you wipe me bum? For God's sake, Nina, you're 41 years old. You do it. I'm playing with the kids' dolls. I'm just kidding there, obviously. It does get a little bit annoying when Nina was doing all the homeschooling because I couldn't hear my PlayStation. Welcome to the show. This is Eyes and Teeth. Paul Eastwood is a former Rugby League international goal kicker winger who played for Hull FC and Hull Kingston Rovers between 1984 and 1990s. Sorry, that's a different Paul Eastwood. The Paul Eastwood I know, I met in 1996. We were competing against each other in a talent competition in London. More than 20 years later, we both find ourselves hosting the same mega Christmas spectacular in Norfolk, the Thursford show, 4 times each. And we've both enjoyed a bit of TV, pantomime, holiday parks, corporate gigs, cruise ships, comedy clubs, theatres, summer seasons, and much more. Although we've been similar in workload, Paul and I do differ. Paul Eastwood, no songs, no props, no gimmicks, just one man and a microphone. Paul Eastwood, the real stand-up. Can the real Paul Eastwood please stand up? Can the real Paul Eastwood please stand up? Can the real Paul Eastwood... Sorry. Hi, Paul. So this is about your career. And if you slip a line in there, mate, that's up to you. That's, you know... But if you don't feel funny, you know, if you say you've just seen a dead body floating down the river next to you, make a gag out of it. You know, we'll back it in. So I hope you don't.
Week and 4. This has been 4. It's regular.
They're really?
Just go, but yeah, it's not, no one bothers now. Just pick them out when they reach the Thames.
Oh, there's a bit like Beachy Head at Eastbourne there. So I guess, I guess after the 5th body, maybe you could start making a little bit of a, you know, all the salmon are big round here, aren't they? They're wearing tracksuits. Maybe, I don't know. So anyway. I'll leave that to you. You're the comedian. So, ladies and gentlemen, well, I won't even say ladies and gentlemen because you can't say that these days, can you? You're not allowed to.
Well, you're speaking to the wrong person.
So, how shall I introduce you to the audience?
Gender-neutral people of all persuasions.
And here he is. It's Paul Eastwood. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Steve. All right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Now, I was trying to think back to where we first met, and I think... The first time we met, go back to my mind, so I thought it was Babbacombe Theatre in Torquay where we had a photo shoot for Matt Pro Productions, and George put this together down in Torquay.
Oh, mate, yes, there's a famous photo. No,
yeah,
you were doing
it wasn't that.
Shoot
yeah,
because you got the gig.
Oh,
and then I had this news slowly broken to me that I wasn't in the photo shoot because I hadn't got the summer season.
Ah, you didn't get the season. You were in the photo though. It's a nice picture.
Yeah, because if you watch this, what they say now is it was a photo bomb. So,
oh, you were the first photo bomber back in '99.
Yeah, so it was an audition. Colin wanted to see the cream of all the acts from, you know, the south of England. So he put, I think it was the great Mike Samuels.
Yeah, yes.
Or Eddie Wallace, maybe.
Okay.
Who had connections with a bed and breakfast down there.
Right.
So they brought in sort of, what do they call them, rent-a-crowd, and it was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And Colin was at the back looking for people to do that brilliant, which we both ended up doing, that brilliant summer season that went on for about 9 years, didn't it? It was Monday to Thursday.
Yeah, it was good days back then.
500 shows.
Yeah, and well, you get DVD sales at the end of it, though. He was very, very generous with splitting the DVD sales.
Yeah, I got 48 quid.
Oh, well,
and
we sold more in Eastbourne.
There were loads of the tour bay acts, but then Anne said, you've got to get on this. Colin wants to see people. It's a great summer. It was one of the only summer seasons left, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, definitely down in Devon. I mean, nothing down in Weymouth or Devon. Well, Eastbourne still had them, and Cromer, I guess. We've done them all now. We've done all three of them.
There's a bit of a one left in Scarborough for Tony Piers. That
yes,
was one.
I heard that. I've never done it.
Some stuff, little bits of stuff.
Clacton.
In Clacton.
Yeah.
And then there was Blackpool were doing bits and pieces, but not like they used to. Not sort of starting in. No,
not with the dancers.
At the end of March and going through to October.
No, they're dancers, a compare, magic, illusions, and special guest variety. You know, it's changed horribly. Obviously, this year has completely stripped the lot of it, but I mean, it's changed with the variety summer seasons. It was good fun, wasn't it? Because we. But when did you first actually get back into doing the Mat Pro? Because I know you've done quite a few seasons, didn't you?
That was a disaster. So that day you had to go on. There was a few people, which would have been like the audience that we would have had if I'd have got the gig.
Yes, yeah. All from that area.
More mature people.
Yes.
Can you say that? Is that PC now?
You can, yeah. The Saga type audience. Yeah, the Saga ones.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. What did Mickey Zaney say? You don't want to call them old age pensioners because it like rubs it in 3 times.
I've never heard that. It's brilliant.
So we came out. We had like 10 minutes each. So Anne said, and it was Trevor George who was looking after them, and he said, there's only 40 or so people. You've got to work the room like it's full.
Nice.
You've got to imagine they're all there and just go on and do what you do. And I had no experience, and he said, work it like it's a full audience.
Or work as if you're getting paid, really. It's a free show.
Yeah. and I went out and I made a joke about the old guy. Well, if I'd known there was this many, we could have done it in my car.
Yeah.
And it just went down. They just didn't. I said, one cold snap, we could wipe you lot out. And I got absolutely nothing.
Yeah, the secret is to know your audience, isn't it? Before you.
Yeah. So that's the way to learn. Like, you're learning you're hitting the ground running. You're learning, aren't you, as you go? And I got such a rollicking from him. He said, "Come on, we're going to the pub." He said, "I told you." And you know Trevor, as well as I do.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's got some real history behind him. Pasquale and
Barrymore, talent. Yeah, the talent they put out there.
Barrymore and Gary Wilmot, all these people he's helped. He knows what he's talking about. And I just took it upon myself not to listen.
Yeah, people go in different directions, but that's the way they want to go. And sometimes they're right for their persona or their comedy style, you know. And I don't think you did change, really. I mean, they accepted you eventually, but I'm not saying that you went out and done that to the audience, but you build up this likability about yourself when you come out. You're a cheeky chappy, and people do warm to that. And so they accept those little quips, and they accept that you're making fun maybe of their age, that they've been around on the planet for 100 years, you know.
But I think you've got to establish, as you know, I think comedy's like anything in life. People make an instant decision, don't they? And within the 30 seconds or the 45 seconds, they decide. Certainly the British audiences, they'll say, if we trust this guy, we feel safe with him, and we'll go with him. Because we feel safe, and we think that what he's going to do is going to be okay.
Yeah.
So, and it really matters about that first. Harder for you doing what you do because you know you've got to come and establish yourself. But then you've got to establish all the different characters. I think stand up, it's about likability and the audience make an instant decision about you, and I sort of decided to open with a couple of jokes before I went into just smashing the audience apart.
but I always think it's harder for yourself because if they don't like me and I'm doing a couple of gags while I'm starting and I feel that, I get the puppets out quicker. But I've got that to hide behind, you see. I can, all right, they're going to love Arthur, so I'll get Arthur out. And if Arthur don't work, I know the next 40 minutes are going to be tough. But for you, you're going to fire out for the first 5 minutes, and if they're still not warming to you, you're just thinking, oh, no, the sweat starts to build, and then you kind of think, I still have to try and get them. But you don't give up, do you? You do your thing, and it's what you do, it's what you learn to do.
You know what you've got to do your time. Obviously, back in the day, when all you need to do was get paid, so you'd have to learn to do your time, 45 minutes. You then start to find a style, and it's a really unfortunate job because you can't train for it, can you? You have to do it live.
Yes.
And when you're doing it live, you have to go through all the rubbish experiences to get to the good stuff.
Definitely.
And then finally you find that you're comfortable with it, and even if it's a bad night, you suddenly know how to handle it.
It's all about experience, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
Eyes and teeth. Before we even got to this point, I did meet you before that photo shoot. It was 3 years before then. We was in this talent competition. I think it was in Harringay in London.
Oh my word!
I know. We're going back further. No,
No,
that's fine.
Down, or you got a good memory.
So I wrote down Babbacombe, and then before I got to you today, I did write it down because I didn't want to forget that we had met 3 years previous.
Second to you.
Omid Djili, is that how you say his name?
He was calling himself the Greek fat kebab shop owner.
He was the short fat kebab owner's son, and he was.
Well, he was introduced, and we weren't living in such a diverse society then.
No.
So
it was.
You're in a working men's club in Harringay. You're going to, and he walks in. You can imagine how sort of Afghani a lot of the audience were.
Yeah, wow.
And he went on and created this character, and he absolutely smashed it.
It was funny, wasn't he? And I remember that. That's, I guess, where his act was born. Sort of.
You won it, so in the end, you won it. He was second, and I think I got 50 quid.
No, I was. A duo won that show. I came second, and I think Omid was third. Was you fourth?
Well, wherever the 50 quid came from. That might have been the first time I ever got paid off without knowing it.
So that was it, mate. That was the first thing. And I think you had a manager with you at the time. So I was thinking, why has this guy got a manager? That's brilliant. He's doing well. Because I just done talent competitions when I was in my late teens to like 22 years old. I'd done talent show. I'd done about 40 talent shows. I got about 10 grand in the end throughout all of them.
How did you get into? Did you do that because someone suggested it, or you wanted to hone your?
No, I wanted to hone it. I didn't have an act. I had 20 minutes when I was doing talent shows, and so in the late 80s and 90s, so I think up to 97, I had about half an hour, and then I was given a summer season, and someone said, "I've got 80 dates for you." So he said, you need 45 minutes. So I got myself 45 minutes. And this was just after I met you. So this is 96 that we done the talent show. And I only had 15, 20 minutes.
I was living in the West End of London with my closest friend, who still is.
Wow.
I was living just off Harley Street, Weymouth Street, which is just around the corner from the BBC radio.
Brilliant.
And I had these ideas of being a comedian. I think I'd done a season as a Haven mate. And then I thought, I just started saying to people, because you could get business cards made at service stations for about £1.
yeah.
So I just Paul Eastwood comedian.
10,000 for £1. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Print
I
them
just
off.
sent a cane, and my mate went, but you don't actually. You're not, are you? Because you got the stage newspaper, and there was hundreds of talent shows all over London.
Yeah, I was on them all.
And I started entering them. Andy Nicol, the agent from Essex.
I remember. Yeah, I'd done one talent show for him. Was it Witham?
Yeah.
Was it down in Witham? Yeah.
Jeff Dukes.
Yes, I'd done.
Jeff Dukes in Harringay. That was Jeff Dukes in Harringay.
Yeah, and he done Hemel Hempstead, Jumping Jacks. I'd done one for him.
I did that. Barry Dye put me into that.
Blimey, yeah. So we started out really doing the same thing before we turned pro. We both started off doing talent competitions. So where was yours? Where you went out there as a stand-up and thought, I'm going to keep doing this? What was the defining moment?
Barry Dye. I'd done the Haven Mate season. Then I'd been to to Bourne Leisure and done the Orchards as the assistant ends manager.
Okay.
And which is a tough, it's a tough part of that. They're all good gangsters and taxi drivers.
Yeah, hasn't changed.
They said, well, go on, because it was on my sort of, in the interview, Malcolm Murray got me the season through Barry Dye.
Right.
So, I got they took their 40% each, and I got my 20%. And then they used to go, well, go out and do this comedy that you do on nights. Either the cabaret wouldn't turn up, or if they had an event, or go out and do your comedy. And I was watching people like Ricky Jay, Jeff Stevenson, Tony Gerrard, Phil Butler. Used to storm it. Absolutely stand them on their heads.
Yeah.
And these were tough rooms. They were family rooms, but you had to be clean, but you could push the envelope a little bit. But it was more crowd control. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely.
And I did that season, and then signed with Barry Dye. Barry Dye took me on because of it. I met Barry for a mutual friend because he's at Switch. My parents were in Suffolk, and Barry Dye took me on. And then he said, keep doing the talent shows. But I was doing a laughing at my own jokes thing then.
Right.
Which was sort of is it Ken Goodwin?
Oh, yes.
That sort of style.
Yeah, brilliant. I loved Ken. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was annoying people.
yeah. What, when you were doing it?
A gag, I met a feminist prostitute last night, and she insisted on paying half. And I was going...
I'm laughing at the laugh that you do at the end. I love that. I didn't know you did that.
Now, is it? And I went, no, I don't know yet. And he went, well, bin that. And then I did the show called Showcase, and they said, comedians that laugh at their own jokes are often not my favourites. And Paul Eastwood fits into that category.
Oh, really? So you dropped that. But I like the way that Barry was actually directing you, not just getting you bookings, but he cared about your style, which is quite nice to hear.
Yeah, he'd had great success with Shane Ritchie and Mickey Zaney.
Yeah.
And he wanted a young comedian to sort of replicate the pattern of his success.
Brilliant.
But by the time we were trying to do it, and he was sending me to the TV companies, you did the Big Talent Show.
I did, yeah, 97.
Those sort of people. I think that the business was at that time comedy was really starting to change. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the alternative guys were coming in. Comedy was becoming a little bit more postmodern, a little bit more aggressive. It was becoming more observational, passionate, and people were growing out of just listening to gags.
Yeah, it did change, didn't it? It's probably around about the end of the 90s that it did actually have quite a vast change. Alternative comedians coming in, talking about real life and stuff. I guess the reality took over.
Yeah, the Ben Eltons, the Alexi Sales, it was political. And that was something that I firstly wasn't qualified to talk about, and secondly, I thought comedy should always be a bit of light relief rather than the strains of
talking about everyday life, which is what we all go through.
Come out to forget about all that. I don't. Now people say, "Oh, you're going to do loads of stuff about
COVID." Yeah.
COVID. No, I'd say, well, I'll do a couple of. It's my job to do a couple of lines because you're a comedian, but I'll just do. I don't know. Diane Abbott caught it from shopping online. But I don't. But I wouldn't do many jokes because I think people want to forget about everyday life because we're supposed to be their form of escapism, aren't we?
Definitely,
really?
You got to take their mind off it. I don't think they're going to want to go into panto and then listen to gag after gag about it. That they want that panto or that comedy show really does have to. You can't ignore it. You can touch on it, but I guess you do have to take them away from it. Otherwise, they're going to come away thinking, right, did I just see a comedy show or was it the news? Do you know what I mean? It's you're right. It's totally right to
I know comics that have written parodies, and you're a great writer as well. But there's comics going to me, write parodies and one-liners, and you could almost do. Because when you get experience 45 minutes now, as you well know, because you always do, don't you? You always go, someone says to you now, do half an hour, you've got so much stuff, you worry about how you're going to fit it in.
Yeah, I did an hour and 10 last night. So I kind of...
You see, you never get that from me because of union rules. I'm halfway home by then.
No, it's true. I was staying over anyway. I got another gig here tomorrow, so...
Yeah, all right, mate. Blimey, there's people struggling out there.
2 in a month. It was a 2-for-1 deal, so they've got a better deal than I have. But now they're inside. Have you done inside ones yet?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is why I sort of had to have a sort of long, hard look at myself, really, because they're always lovely audience. Sign Warren, which was a lovely little, it's only a little drive for me.
Yeah.
And then it was 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, socially distanced. They've really done well, following all the arrows on the floor that just bring you back on yourself.
Yeah.
And then you bump into someone that you've just passed at reception. What are you doing here? And he goes, I'm following the same arrows. You don't know which way to go. I mean, you do it in a supermarket and you want to get to the shampoo, but you can't. The arrow says you've got to walk that way. So you just say, throw it down, mate. Throw it down to me. And the 8 o'clock was lovely.
Yeah.
It was like a cruise again, 8 and 8:30.
I know, you're doing 2 shows, yeah.
The 10 o'clock, it was really, it sort of rocked me a bit because I thought, blimey, this is really, really hard. And I'm not surprised it was hard for me because I haven't done it for months, but I'm not surprised it's hard for the audience because it's not comfortable. Sometimes they're worrying.
There's a lot to think about in there, really. I mean, because it is constantly on their minds because people have got masks on serving you drinks and you are distanced from other tables. And so for an audience, it'd be like, I went to see Eddie Izzard last week and he was outside. He was outside on a roof down in Sussex and he's doing these outside gigs. It's incredible. And there's only like 80 people watching, but we're on blankets. Take your own blanket, £25 a head, and you get to see it. And he done a 4.5-hour stand-up. It was incredible. But we're constantly thinking about it. But he did take our minds away from it, even though we sat under the stars watching Eddie Izzard. It was kind of... I've been waiting 10 years to see him, by the way. So it was
That's incredible. So
yeah, it's amazing.
He was doing it, obviously, not for financial reasons. He just wanted to get back to do something.
Eddie is probably more than a patron of the Bexhill Pavilion, the Dillawar Pavilion. So he was born down he went to college in Eastbourne, and we live in Eastbourne, so we knew it was going on because I got a notification, and I grabbed the tickets really quickly. Didn't have any gigs on, so I knew that I was off. So,
I got a night off.
Yeah, and so.
Was he the same? Because I haven't watched this for a long time because he sits on a different political fence than I do.
Yeah.
I didn't like a shade of nail varnish that he wore once. It really offended me.
You might not have liked his dress.
As he was with his ad-libbing. I mean, just taking the obvious and just running with it. I always thought he was a genius.
I've watched all his DVDs, and the genius in him is you have to listen to the beginning of the show. You cannot blink, flinch, go to the toilet, make a cup of tea. Right. You have to watch the whole thing because there's a lot of callbacks, and the whole thing is genius. He's talking about things, but he's done a mix of one of his Wonder Bar tour, and he added some new stuff in it as well. And you talk about the nail varnish. He's got a full dress on. He wore a wig.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah, and that is Eddie Izzard. You want to see that side of him because it's a wonderful thing to see. Actually, somebody be who they want to be, but actually we're going because of Eddie Izzard, the comedian, and we're going to watch the gags. And so you settle into it, and just really enjoy the performance because I mean, it was so windy that the dress blew up a few times, and you saw his pants. But that's
right, and how was the sound?
That got a laugh.
He's obviously got the wind protector on the mic. The sound's okay. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah, he put the foam cover. If you can't, because it was blowing a bit in the wind, and then he asked for a foam cover, and they had one, and it stopped the wind. So I mean, that's a bit of advice for myself and yourself. if you are outside again, just get the foam covers if they've got them. I might order some, actually. It's a good idea. But hopefully we won't have to go back outside. I mean, sometimes, remember the old Thompson hotels out in Ibiza and Mallorca?
I mean, I've done them all, mate, and they're probably, with all the stuff I've done, and we haven't spoken about, Thursford yet, but those gigs for me initially were so daunting. Fly to a strange country, get picked up or whatever, get on a bus, go to a hotel, have a few hours sleep, do an hour, because that was an hour.
Yeah.
So for me, 45 minutes, I'm just about home in 45 minutes, then they say, right, it's an hour. And there was no way I was getting 15 minutes worth of laughter, because I thought I'd pad it out with laughter.
Yeah.
And you're doing an hour, and then those big ones, the Cyprus ones, the Atlantic Bay, and those, there were 1,000 people outside,
Yeah, great atmospheres. But you were standing there swallowing flies and mosquitoes all night, weren't you? And
sweating before you haven't spoken a word yet, and you're pouring with sweat.
Yeah, there was a lot of flies actually. When I done an outside Warner's last week, there was quite a lot of flies out there. But being a ventriloquist, I got away with that. They just got stuck in my teeth.
Right.
Yeah. So they can be a bit daunting, the outside gigs. But I had my first inside gig last night, which was quite nice. So hopefully they're all coming back. So you done an inside gig, and did you find that more comfortable?
I was rusty. I haven't done what I should have done. Like I said to you, I should have kept myself busy. You've been really busy on the social media and doing videos and stuff.
Well, so we have got kids. We have got kids, and it's just been really busy. I mean, it's not been easy in my house because I can't leave Nina with the kids, and so I've tried to keep my mind busy because I will stop, and I don't know what will happen if my brain stops. So Nina has understood that, but we've tried to work it out where I can work, and then I can be with the kids and be with the family. I've done mostly every day. I've done all the cooking and stuff, but I mean it's. You do have to find your headspace, ready for work. And I think it is worrying going back. I was thinking, what is this audience going to be like? Am I going to enjoy it? Are they going to laugh? Are they going to laugh? I think that was the biggest worry.
I'm not at all structured. I have a Rolodex of crap that I can go through joke-wise.
Yeah, you got some stock that you're ready for.
Stuff, and that Rolodex, occasionally wasn't opening for me. And I was going, right, here we are then. Oh, Thatcher, she was a wrong one. And they're going, no, mate, and it just wasn't happening. And obviously we know how to cover it, but I was thinking, blimey, I need to have a little read through the stuff, because Bob Monkhouse used to say that you should have 3 jokes for any eventuality.
Right.
That's how I try and work. I don't have I have an opening and an end, but I don't structure anything, because I think that if I can talk to the audience, they talk back, we can have a bit of banter.
That's nice. It's like talking to your mates, isn't it, really? I mean, you take it on like a conversation with your mates, and as long as you've got your opening and your closing, whatever happens in the middle, as long as they're laughing, you're flowing. Yeah. So your act just flows. And I've seen you. We done that gig in Norfolk last year, and I loved sitting down and watching you paralyse the audience just with.
Well, you couldn't sit down, mate. You had to, because it was sold out.
I stood at the back. Before I went on.
Don't say that. There wasn't an empty seat. They bought seats in.
There wasn't seats in between the seats. There was no social distancing. It was our last packed house, wasn't it? Our last packed house.
Brilliant. I mean,
it was a great night.
But I do those shows like you do. You've done your touring and stuff, and I've done those shows. I thought, other people are doing it. When things were going well, I thought I'd put a bit of money into doing shows. It's got absolutely nothing to do with me. I host the show and do a bit of stand-up, but I think that Stephen, the wonderful Stephen Medler, who does the Keeping Variety Alive, he goes, that act would work really well. And I think on that night, it was the jackpot for us, wasn't it? Because
Ben Langley, it was a brilliant. Ben
Langley, local boy. You're respected in the area, and you were in rehearsals for the Thursford thing.
It worked, didn't it? It worked. Beginning of November,
that twice over.
I know. We'll do it again next year, shall we? It was great.
Oh, contributional.
It was so nice. I mean, let's talk about your inspirations, mate? I know Jim Davison is one of your favourites, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, but you know what? You say that now, and then do you know how many people will just switch this off? like take me out.
Swipe left.
Yeah, and it'll always be the ugly ones.
Okay, let me start again, because it's all in my edit, right? So tell me about your early inspirations, Paul.
Jim Davison. No, I'll tell you for why. You know, regardless of because it's quite. I could talk about this for an hour, but when you're a comedian doing essentially the same job that Jim does, the same job that even someone like Bernard Manning did.
Yeah.
Despite the material or the subject matter or the way they approach things politically, that's got nothing to do with it. You, as a professional, someone who's done it for 25 years, you look at the craftsmanship of what they're doing and how they do it. And despite what the opinions people have about the choice of material and all that stuff,
sure.
You look beyond that and you go, they're great stand-up comedians.
Yes.
And that's all the justification for me. But Jim, you know, I mean, I'm lucky enough to know Jim a little bit, and he's always very supportive, but he's a very direct human being, and I think he thinks he's too at an age now where he doesn't need to justify himself to people.
Sure.
And people pay to go and see what he's got to say about the world. And that's sort of not how I want to replicate the act, but the you know, comedy is what it is. Like a lot of people, with all due respect, wouldn't want to go and see Eddie Izzard in a dress because they think that was strange, and there's got to be a market for maybe those people to go and watch Jim.
Sure.
And everybody's
There's different tastes,
in the market, haven't they?
Yeah. There are people that don't want to see ventriloquists. You know what I mean? It's I feel that sometimes.
Why would that be? They're weirdos.
I don't. They are strange because I just quickly, when you left me a voicemail last week, I need to do this while I remember. I think I may say something. Thanks for calling Steve Hewlett Comedy Ventriloquist. Leave a message, and you commented on it. What did you say about the comedy ventriloquist part?
Well, it's the first time I messaged you afterwards because you messaged, so I got your message, but I'm really busy. And then I messaged that you thought it was funny-ish, and I said, well, that's good to know because that's the first laugh I've had since March the 17th at Pontins, and that was questionable. So it was just because the fact that you had to say comedy before your. Because I think people know now, mate, don't they?
Some nights I beg to differ, so I question it. But yeah,
ventriloquist, because people know now after 30 years, you don't. It's like you wouldn't get a guy that's been working in B&Q for 57 years going, "Hi, this is Steve from B&Q." He works in B&Q.
I don't want to confuse people because there's an estate agent in Ireland called Steve Hewlett, and there was on BBC there was a journalist called Steve Hewlett, and I heard him on Radio 4 once being interviewed, and he said somebody called him once on the phone, tracked him down via email and phoned him and asked him to do a corporate gig with his ventriloquist act, and he's a journalist, and so so for namesake, for your doppelgangers, I think I have to single myself out as being a comedy ventriloquist.
I always when I turn up to the more delicate gigs, the Fred Olsen cruises or did, and the
are you comedy comedian? How do you put yours?
It's Andy Eastwood. They say, where's your thing, mate?
Where's your ukulele?
Where's your thing? I go, well, firstly, it's not a thing, it's a ukulele. Secondly, that's Andy Eastwood. Oh, right. And then they get all disappointed that I'm not him.
It might be the other way round, though, when he gets the gigs. Oh, mate, how many gags you got tonight?
Yeah, well, he's probably got as many as I, but he chooses not to do them. But then you've got, and Paul Eastwood is a Southend footballer.
Oh, right. There is another Paul Eastwood.
Southend United's doing quite well for himself.
Okay, you should walk on with the football from now on, maybe. Or a ukulele.
Yeah, my audience is like, oh, yeah, he's all right, guys. Do you hate football like I do?
Yeah. Do you hate football?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you'd love football. No?
Can't abide it.
Oh, you've got the accent for football, though. I can hear you shouting in the grounds. Come on, Arsenal! No? Do you support a team? Have I lost you?
Well, my father-in-law is Chelsea, so he drinks in a boozer that's Chelsea. There's that's Dave over there. He's Chelsea till I die.
Really?
And you go, what? I said, I'm sorry, Jeff. What's that mean? And he goes, oh, he just will do anything for him.
He loves buns.
But the next day, if Man United won, he'd be supporting them because that's what happens. They're very fickle people.
Till he dies. Yeah, no, that's true. Let's get back to some comedy. You're really comfortable in your adult-only venues, aren't you? Like you do Warner's, you've done Saga, cruises, clubs, sporting events. This is where I kind of have struggled in the past, doing sporting events, corporate and military, and Royal Marines, Royal Navy. Are you nervous on those gigs, Paul, or is it your comfort zone?
No, what it does. I'll tell you back to the dish story. When it was, you said, call the show what you like, just put, Ben's on your, and I was thinking, right, because that environment for me, working with two acts that are going to do what they do, and it's going to be brilliant. We called it, I called it a slightly naughty night out.
It was a good title, yeah.
As it transpired, the only person that was covering was me, because you guys went on. Ben did what he did, you did what you did, and I kind of think that people go, yeah, you were brilliant, but you didn't do any of that swearing, and you didn't talk about anything, and that's what the likes of Thursford and Cromer have taught me. But I am more comfortable in that environment because you've got the whole world at your feet. You can talk about anything you want as long as it's funny.
Yes.
But I'm not an adult. I've certainly not become an adult comedian, but I remember a military gig at Tidworth for the military police. They wanted the show. They had to do a raffle. I said, what? He said, we're doing a raffle. I said, oh, yeah? He went, yeah, so you do 20, then we're doing the raffle, and you go back on. So I went, okay. So I did the 20, and it was all right. I was a young comic, and it was sergeants. So they're not junior ranks,
right?
Who are very difficult. They were sergeants. They all sit in their number 2 dress. They all look respectable. They're eating the cheese, drinking the port. Very respectful. Company sergeant majors there, regimental sergeant major, and it went well. And then I come off. They're doing the raffle, and the company sergeant major came into the little office I was changing in. He went, say more. I went, wow. He said, they like that. And I didn't know what I said, what? Well, why? Because it's gone all right. He went, no, they'll respond more to that.
Wow. So
then you think, but what? So just take a joke that doesn't need it and just say it. And he went, yeah, I like it. And then he walked out. And it was just a weird thing. But I've never been, because there are comedians that don't work to what they say, blue or adult audiences, and then they get asked to.
Yes, yeah.
And then they do it, and there's nothing more painful, because all they're doing is what they've honed as a lovely family-friendly act, and they're just adding swear words into it.
Yeah, I was asked a couple of years ago to just work on an adult act and go blue, and I think I've tried it a couple. Yeah, see, you're laughing, mate, because it doesn't suit me, does it? I tried to do it, and I've tried to do more adult, but and people come up and say, "Oh, you must have a really, really funny adult act." I'm like, "Well, this is my act. So what? If the adults enjoyed it, then that was my adult act." But I have been a bit more cheeky in some shows, but I've done thousands of shows and I've not needed to swear in them. Yeah, and when I was kind of asked to go blue, I just didn't see that it was going to work for me. And it didn't. I tried to go a little bit more naughty, not with adding swear words, but being a bit more cheeky. And I just backed off because it's reputation is everything. You build it up over 30 years. You kind of can't completely change what you do. Keith Harris was a different story.
Yeah, I was just about to say that to you, Steve.
Yeah.
Because he had such the TV, family, friendly. I think when he was doing the late night shows, which I did luckily get to see that on one of the parks.
Yeah.
It was such a different thing for him. It was hilarious. But it wasn't him, was it? It was Cuddles, and it was...
No, it was all Vaughan Cuddles, and he turned it round because he done the universities and things, and apparently he couldn't get into the universities because they said, no, we need tribute acts. We can only use tributes in the universities. They're going down really well. And he said, well, I'm a tribute to Keith Harris. So they gave him a night, and he went down a storm. And so then they realised it was really him. And then he started to do the Blue adult act. He went out there and he stormed it, and then Butlins took him on. And Keith did turn it round because he was at that time in his career where he thought it was the right time to do something different with them, and it worked for him, you know. But because he's such an iconic...
You know, that TV image, like Bob Monkhouse was the same. He had that crystal clear TV image, and then you'd go and see him live at the lakeside.
Yeah.
And he'd be doing the naughty gags, and you know, and the subject matter would be all adult stuff, and people would just go mad. Jim Bowen was the same. That TV image, and then live, he would be a bit cheeky and maybe rude, and people would think it's just so different. It's brilliant.
When you get certain contracts and stuff that you don't want to let go of, and we're moving on to a subject now, to a venue that we've both worked 4 years, both of us, I think we've done now. It's a place where you will listen to what the director, producer wants because it's his baby.
Well, he wanted me to go home. That's what he said.
Well, that was the last conversation, but
but you're here now.
Tell me about Thursford, mate, because it is and you don't swear at Thursford, obviously, but it's just
I
such
was proud.
amazing room.
You're not blowing your own trumpet at all, but I'm proud of that. I watched them on the footage I've got. As you know, everybody's got to be dressed immaculately.
Yes.
Everything's got to be to time, as you well know. It's a TV style performance. If you don't leave that stage at the right time, then the dancers will rush on, the whole thing goes to that shit. Yeah,
you got to keep to your timing. That's one big thing about
discipline. Like Cromer did, it taught me discipline, and not being able to touch anything for 1,600 people. There's always going to be someone that might be offended at the word, any word.
Yes.
I really learned to be more of I was opening with the opening bit was topical, just topical jokes, and then it was just, and I realised I didn't sort of need to do that, and then I got bloody 4 years. I mean, on the bounce.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's just literally
a lot of work for us self-employed people. It's a lot of
I know. Like 1,500 seats twice a day for 7 weeks and 4 years in a row. I've done 3 years, and as you know, I came back last year. It's amazing to actually, because you do command that whole audience there. But I think by the time you come on, they've had dancing and singing and music, and they're ready for comedy. So you're the only comedy that night. It's incredible, isn't it?
I just couldn't wait, and I saw you, I don't know if it was your last year, it was your first. I came to that to see you and see the show. It was very strange sitting, because there were always seats, you're under the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You sit under the Christmas tree, and then you're watching this show, and you never ever get to see it, and you go, bloody hell, I was a part of this. I was the link, what they call the link man.
Yeah.
I was doing it was just sometimes almost emotional. It's a brilliant, and it's so sad what's happened there, that he can't make that financially viable because he spent so much on it.
It's truly sad. I mean, it's literally probably upset hundreds of thousands of people that go to the show, because it literally was a thing everyone looked forward to every year, wasn't it?
From overseas, they'd leave 2 days. I mean, I talked to people in the audience. Where are you from? From Ireland. Well, what time did you leave the house? No, we're in Norfolk for a couple of days.
Yeah, they spent 600 quid. Yeah, just to watch the show. I mean, people did. They make it an annual thing. But because we work so much on it, though, you don't get a day off, do you, as the host? And so you do 7 weeks 2 shows a day non-stop.
You know, I got sucked into the whole social thing, and I went to the same sort of booze
burnt
as you were
out.
going to, and I got sucked in with the pipers. And I did, by the end of it, you know, we were sort of, 4 shows in.
Yeah.
I thought I've had enough now.
Crash and burn.
We've still got another 69 to go, but it's a machine. It's a well-oiled, perfect showbiz machine, that is.
It's an incredible thing to have that in our history, mate. 4 years each. But I think when I finished it this year, I came out of it. I thought, God, man, I need 6 months off. And be careful what you wish for, because I got it. So, it's, you know, it's, but mate, I love that I've shared that with you, you know, that those 4 years, because I know how much you feel about it. And I hope you go back again one year, because I think it's one of those things you'll always talk about as one of your favourite jobs, you know. It's just everything about it.
You must have had gigs or gone on ships or gone to gigs, wherever they may be. People come up to you and go, "You're that bloke."
Yeah.
And you go, "Well, what? Yeah, I am. Yeah, essentially." No, but you're that bloke from that show. Yeah, I am. And there's people from every corner of the country that have been there to see that. We saw you on the list. We know that this will be all right because you're that bloke from that show. I mean, I don't know your name.
No.
Bob Carroll, geez.
They get to see a full set though, which is nice, because they say all you're comparing. I got a complaint. I remember one specific complaint, probably in 2009 when I did it, and John brought me back. He went, "Oh, you've had a little complaint. Have a look at this email." And this woman was complaining that I used an inhaler in my act. Now, what it was, Arthur Lager started laughing at his own joke, and I said, "You shouldn't laugh at your own jokes." And then he went, "I'm not laughing. I'm having an asthma attack." And so he's like breathing funny, and then I get the inhaler out of my pocket and I take it, and then he's all right. And it's a great ventriloquist visual gag, you know. But she complained because she had asthma. But I thought of the joke because I've got asthma, you know. So
you're saying on that particular season, 74 shows, you had an email.
I had about 4 emails that season, I think.
I used to get a special delivery on a mail sack. and I had people like little elves going through them all. Going,
literally in Thursford.
That one's quite serious. The most serious was a lady who was she was a doctor in medical science and the manipulation of the mind. She had lots of letters after her name. And she said that the joke you did, I did the joke when there was the big closing of the second half, which was always the big number. And I think this particular year it might have been Mary Poppins, something like that.
Oh, yes.
Everyone's on. So the people, I used to try and get that first standing ovation of the show. So I'd walk from the back of the arena to the stage. Come on! And people used to stand. And John loved that. So they've already given a standing ovation closing. We just love it. I mean, I don't know what the gag was. Everybody wants to be in the West End. Susan Boyle starring her own superstar Jesus Christ, and that was just the complaints. I mean, as I say, you know, the phones were red hot.
Yeah, there's a lot of Susan Boyle fans out there, mate. You've got to be careful. Maybe Susan's coach was in that night or something. Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? Have you seen shows like Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld? Have you seen things like that on Netflix?
No, I've watched stuff I watched stand-up on Netflix.
Jeff,
seen that.
As Jerry Seinfeld, he's taking comedians out. He picks a favourite car for them, like if it's Jim Carrey, he'll take him out in a Porsche or something that he thinks will suit that comedian. And literally, he's done everybody. Steve Martin, it's brilliant. But it's Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee. I was thinking, if you had a show that Paul Eastwood was hosting, what would you call it? If it was a similar title.
So what's his called?
Comedians in Cars Drinking Coffee.
It would be Comedians in a Van Drinking Chardonnay.
Very nice. You love your Chardonnay, didn't you? I remember that.
No, I mean, I've done it. I've only gone on to the Chardonnay because I haven't been to the...
You run out of red.
The dentist for so long, so
Ah.
I was starting to look like...
red teeth.
Some sort of person that should be outside the post office shouting at pigeons.
Oh, no, I remember them bottles of red on that P&O ship. That was a good couple of nights that. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's everything in. That's what also you learn when you have a family and you're getting older. Everything has to be in. Everything has to be in. What's the word?
Moderation. We're meaning of trying to watch our weight. We've got the lunchtime lockdown bellies, so they said just have little small meals throughout the day rather than 3 big meals, loads of small meals.
Yeah, often people are telling you,
you
can pay £6 for that price per month.
I know. Yeah, I'm down to 30 meals a day now doing that, so it worked.
Right.
That's
hold on, let me get a pen. You're doing it.
I know you're by the river.
A week ago,
Who?
on the bar from Scales a week ago.
Yeah.
I've got very nice from America. They're talking scales, and I've got on them, and it's a social distancing, one person at a time.
See, you can write good ideas for COVID. That's brilliant. Love that. Let me get my pen. Hang on.
Oh, contributional.
Do you enjoy writing ideas, Paul? Because you write game show concepts and things and sketches. Can you tell me more about your writing?
I do enjoy that because you look at some of the stuff that's on the TV and people are watching it, and you think that there's got to be other ideas for something like that to come. We've all got to make a living, so you stick with what you know. But yeah, I do write ideas. I like developing, comedy, just taking if you realise you've got a few gags about a certain subject, then you put them into a routine. And then you put a personal touch to it, and then suddenly you realise you've got 6 minutes there.
Yeah.
And that's how it works, really. And that's become a process that didn't happen to me quick enough because I was always just doing gags, and it was all over the place, and you just go anything to get through the time. But then now you develop a sort of, and when the audience trusts you, they'll go with something. It doesn't have to be belly laugh after belly laugh after belly. It can be a build, a slow build. It's
a nice way to be, isn't it? Sort of writing your own ideas. Would you sit down and write them, or would they just come to you when you're not ready, when you haven't got a pen?
It was Paul Adams. Paul Adams said to me, he said, you do something on stage where it might be just being an ad-libbing with a customer, with a punter, and then you think, he'd write everything down, wouldn't he, meticulously?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it wouldn't work again because it was just a spur of the moment, but sometimes the best ideas happen at the most unexpected times. So you do something and then you think, I'll do that again, and you just make a mental note of it, and then again, before you know it, you've got
it's a routine.
You've got a routine going on.
Yeah, it's nice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't make an ad-lib work again exactly how it did, because that's the beauty of ad-libs, isn't it? But if it comes up in your head again, you've got that little back reference or little file in the back of your head you can refer to, which is nice.
So the first thing really, mate, has stood out, and then it's just a sad time. But again, big congratulations to you for keeping yourself busy during this time.
Yeah, I think as we've all reacted in different ways, no one's ever experienced this, mate. And when you're looking at the telly and they've got masks on, and then you pop outside, they've got masks on, and you're looking at people in Australia and America and everybody's wearing masks, it hits you, doesn't it? It makes you think, wow, the world has changed in a really scary way. I get a bit claustrophobic, do you know what I mean? When you start thinking, if we've got to wear masks, what's going to happen next? We're going to have to all wear helmets or something. It is really...
As kind of as my dad said to me, when it lasted longer than everybody would expect. So it would have been in May, maybe, and then things were starting to really get serious. But it's the first rule of business, in any business. I mean, he owned businesses, he's retired now, but he always said, prepare. In business, you always prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I think, and much as he does talk an absolute lot of crap, that did stand out as something that you really have to prepare, because we're selling essentially a sort of luxury product, aren't we?
Definitely, yeah.
You know, we're a handbag that people sometimes don't need, but they really want it, but they don't need it. So we've been left along the wayside in certain areas.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the venues are closed, there is just nowhere for us to go, is there? So I think that's probably why I did what I did, and I did create, but I am writing a book, and I did start doing these podcasts really out of the situation, because I was talking to my mates and I was having a really good time. I was on the phone to like Jimmy Townley for 3 hours. I was talking to a couple of mates and thought, Are you in the river? I thought you're falling in the river.
No, I've just moved to a banger racing course. I just stood on the Snetterton banger race. You know that? I mean,
yeah.
So you're absolutely right to keep yourself busy, and there's a lot of people now having, on reflection, hindsight's a wonderful thing, knowing how long it was going to go on. Creative people, I wish I'd sort of been a little bit more creative and creative things to do. But at the time, we just all hoped it was going to sort of wash over. You know, it was going to be like, there's been loads of this recently, the SARS virus.
I know, yeah, you did think it was going to pass, because I thought SARS was going to come over, and then it died out. I thought, oh, we were lucky, and then you're thinking, oh, all them people have died and suffered. That's really sad. And then I thought, when all that was over, I thought, well, what happened to all them people and that disease? It just went. And so I think we thought this was going to be the same, you know. And it's been devastating, isn't it, for everybody?
Ice and Teeth.
Blimey, it's been a crazy year, but I've been thinking about all my mates at this time, because we always bumped into each other doing Isle of Wight Ferry, or we were on a cruise, or just doing variety shows and gigs, you know. And me and you, we had about 3 theatre gigs pulled this year that you put on for us.
That's right, because after the success of the Norfolk, we thought, let's roll that out, and it was going to be great. We were going to go back to the Babbacombe where it all started.
Yeah. So look forward to that.
That's now next year, I think, because you're always busy, but
yeah,
I'm maintaining your reputation as the nicest man in show business.
I'm doing one of those with you. I think Stephen's sorted one out that I'm doing with you next year, which I can't wait for. So good luck with your shows. All my tour dates this year, I had about 8. I've got about 10 or 12 now. They've all been moved to next April. So hopefully it'll just all come back now. Come back.
I need to make 800 grand by March, so I think I'll be all right, don't you?
I think we'll be great by then. Yeah, I think it'll be brilliant. If we could do 4 Thursford contracts each before then, that would be amazing. So, there's always Britain's Got Talent.
You know, because Harry's at the age now where he always starts saying, "Dad, if you're so funny, why don't you do that?" Because that's the thing, isn't it? And you do. If I had the ability to do that, I would think, you know, you get to an age, you think, yeah, well, you know, you're not going to lose anything, I might as well, but I just know that I just end up alienating them.
They love that. If you watch the American one, America's Got Talent, a lot of the stand-up comedians are really ripping into the judges, and they love it over there. And Simon loves it over there. So I think that's what they want. I'm not sure. I think maybe you are the person to do that. Comics are too scared to actually touch on that, but I think the judges want it or need it, you know. I think they let the little comics do it, you know, like the 5-year-old comics. They let them rip into them, which they've done in the past with Amanda and David. But I think it's about time they had someone like Paul Eastwood doing it. I think they're ready for you, mate. They're ready.
We've got a career, I'm established, there's plenty of work. I'll just go and do that, just to see if I can do even better. Yeah,
it pays off. Sometimes it don't, but we got the great Steve Royal this year, and
John Courtney, Steve Royal. Yeah, there's I mean, that's the final, isn't it? Right there.
One more question: who is your favourite ventriloquist? That's a joke. Naughty Nigel.
What's up? Who's the woman who's the lady that used to come on with lamb chop?
Oh, Shari Lewis.
Yeah, she's crap. Steve Hewlett's my favourite.
She was amazing.
Mind you, it was in black and white, but I mean, actually,
it's my fault. I shouldn't have asked you the question. So what's next for you, mate? Just say there was no comedy, right? If there was no comedy ever in the world, what would you What would you do?
Is that a question?
I'm sorry, it is the last question. But what would, for a job, what would you? What were you doing before, and what would you love to do if you were? Just say there was no comedy.
I'm not. What I'm doing. That's what I've tried to go back. I'd be in sales. I'd want to work in sales.
What for little boats and stuff? Because I'm in Weymouth now, and there's loads at sea now. Little sales for boats, or
no, and not the boats for sale, and not little sales. I'd be like
car sales, or
no, not car. I don't know. Car wouldn't rule out cars.
Just sales.
Like a sales rep, running a team of salespeople.
Well, you've got the gift of the gab. You've got a really good. Oh, you could really sell things though, because you really are good with words, aren't you?
Well, no, it's about being able to. It's exactly the same as what I said an hour ago. Stand-up, isn't it? They've got to like you straight away.
Definitely.
If they don't trust you or like you, then they're not going to do it. So it's about gaining instant respect from someone.
Likability. That's interesting.
And then ripping them off.
like you do with your DVDs at the end of a show. Yeah. No, I do that.
They don't know that's got Jim Davison's act on it, do they?
They don't know they're blank. Yeah, no, that's true. No, that's brilliant. Actually, I like that answer. That's nice. Actually, using your comedy mind really to using sales. It's incredible.
But let's hope we don't have to go that far.
We won't go there. Get your gags ready, mate. It's coming back. The venues are coming back. Yes. I've started to streamline my writing. So over the years, probably 20 years, and I think it's very important to have a really, really good partner behind you. And Korea, I know for you, is fantastic at helping putting shows together, and she's good for you, and I've got that with Nina,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, because she's been in the business, same as Nina.
Yeah.
She's been in it, she knows it, she understands it, and yeah, you couldn't hope for someone. They say that, don't they? One of those old sayings, behind every good man is a good woman.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're very lucky in that department.
And I say that about Nina, actually. Have you got birds?
Just a little wildlife. There's swans and there's little ducks.
Oh, are you out for lunch?
No, just.
Is it like grabbing a lobster for lunch? You just take what bird you want on a plate.
Yeah, I'm having I'm having the ground swan. Well, that's going to upset some people, isn't it? I mean.
Well, there goes your Royal Variety performance call.
Yeah.
So I was just talking about writing. Blimey, if you just sat on one. Nina writes as well. She gives me some great ideas. So what I've been doing is that over the 20 years, I started writing when I met Nina. She really inspires me. So I've been writing gags, but I've also written down really good jokes that I like, that have been out there, or in joke books and routines. But I've gone through all of my files now, and I'm typing it sort of, even today, I'm typing it into my laptop. Every joke that I've written and routine that I've written, I'm cutting out everything I've heard before that's not mine. I'm just keeping all of my stuff. I've got 2 jokes at the moment.
No. I mean, I'd say if I did that, I'd just have a lot of memory on the laptop left. It'd just be a disused laptop, essentially, brand new. You haven't even taken out the box. Yeah, but I was going to write down everything that wasn't mine, and then I thought I'll just leave it.
But I'm quite surprised with over the years, and I know you write stuff. You're a great writer and great comedian as well. So you can mix the both. It's just genius. What was that? An elephant? I'm just loving the sound effects.
That was another. I don't know. I don't know if it was people were suddenly released from the house. They just realised lockdown's finished, and they get on the first mode of transport they can find.
I was at a bike. Wow.
Yeah, and they just whiz round. I don't know where they're going. Probably he doesn't know where he's going.
It sounded like an elephant on a bike. Okay. On a bike, yeah. Yeah, so I was quite surprised. I mean, I've got quite a few gags. There's probably mainly ventriloquist ideas, I've written vent gags, and I mean, the stand-up comedy bits I've written is not as much as the vent side that I've written, but it's nice to sort of have something there. But comedy moving forward and stuff, would you want to write more in the future?
Yeah, I'd want to. What I try and do is I do a year's worth of shows, whether it be cruises, the flybacks, the corporates, the after dinner, and then hopefully put that stuff into the Rolodex, and then the following year I'm near enough doing different stuff, whether it be completely original, or whether it be retakes on old gags, but it's always new to me.
Yeah, so stock material is important. I mean, when we're asked to do 2 or 3 45 minutes, you need some stock, you know, because it's impossible for everybody to write new stuff. Yeah,
absolutely, and you need to be, but then you get that confidence to do that, and then you're building up such a back catalogue of stuff that eventually you've got, as I said, you've got a gag for every 3 gags for every eventuality. So nothing's going to throw you or scare you.
That's true. That's a good concept. That's nice. You just got to be ready every time you go out there.
Yeah, and also as you well know, you're doing original stuff. You don't worry. But I used to worry in the early days on ships if you were sort of the 7th comic.
Yeah, on a world cruise. Yeah.
You know, you'd go, oh, what's left? And they said, well, you can't say good evening because that's been done. And you'd be like, there'd be nothing left.
Well, you fold that toilet paper into a little triangle.
Yeah. You do that again. So all you're hoping for is the audience have got a bad memory. You're not hoping for laughs. Just going, please, hope you forgot these jokes.
But Paul, it's been brilliant to talk to you, mate. It's just nice to catch up with you, and I wish you all the best when you come back and do what you do best, because you're just one of them great stand-up comics that people just love to watch and listen to. You're brilliant. You're a smart man as well. So
thank you, and love to your family, and thanks to you for motivating other people to do stuff during this crappy time.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye, buddy. That was the very funny Paul Eastwood. To see more of Paul's work and keep up to date with the new theatre tours, I'm in one of them, I believe, check out his website on www.pauleastwoodofficial.co.uk. Send all complaints to Facebook at Paul Eastwood Comedian. Paul's Twitter handle is @EastwoodComic. Today's comedy quote comes from Jim Davidson. On quiet nights, when I'm alone, I like to run our wedding video backwards just to watch myself walk out of the church a free man. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals provided by Larissa, Lola and Nina Hewlett. Special guest vocals by Rich T. Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by Kevin Dean. See you next time when I'll be talking to one of the original comedians, Don Reed.